is for writing a rule for linear equations. So, you use this for writing linear equations, which means if it's not a straight line, don't try to do this. It's not going to make any sense. So, this applies when you write linear equations. We also sometimes call them linear functions. So, linear functions and linear equations mean the same thing. A linear function is a straight line, and a linear equation is a straight line. Okay, so when we talk about it, we talk about it in terms of y equals. It's always y equals. M being slope, just like from yesterday. Don't ask me why they use M. X, you always multiply it by some x. Plus or minus, depending. B. B represents y-intercept. I don't know why, but this is slope. This is y-intercept. And y-intercept is just where the graph starts, or at least gives you a starting point. So M is slope, B is y-intercept. Y and x can be any coordinate pair. This is just a coordinate pair. That hopefully falls on the line. So y and x is any coordinate pair. M is slope, B is y-intercept. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's start with the easiest kind and then we'll work our way to the hardest. So let's start with a graph. If they give you a graph and they say write the rule or write the linear function, they're just asking, can you find the slope, can you find the y-intercept, and then can you write it in slope-intercept form? Then this is slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept. Pretty basic. Everybody with me so far? Okay. Yes.
If you have minus.
So, let's start with the graph. It's super simple. Don't overthink. Alright. Okay. So, starting with the graph. First, just find the slope. So, what's the slope of this graph? Just like from yesterday, what's the rise over the run? Rise over run. What's the slope? Somebody raise their hand and tell me once you got it. And it's going to be positive because it's going uphill. Y over x. You probably want to look on your paper. It's way easier on your paper than it is on the board. What is the slope? Lily? Here, count one more time. No 2 over 1's already right. 2 over 1. Everybody good so far? Anybody not get 2 over 1? Yes. You didn't get 2 over 1. So, she said it rose 1, 2, and then over 1. We're only looking at the graph. We're only looking at the table. We're only sticking with the graph. Everybody good so far? Alright, so we know M is equal to 2 over 1. Because M is slope. Alright, let's do y-intercept. Do not overthink this. Y-intercept is where your graph intersects the y-axis. So everyone look at your graph and figure out what number the line hits the y-axis. What number does it hit the y-axis? This should be super obvious. Where does your line intersect the y-axis? Should be super obvious. So the first, where the line intersects the y-axis. I'm getting nervous. But not everyone can see it. If you can't see it, ask someone next to you right now. If your hand's not in the arm, assuming you don't know. Okay, so hopefully you said that it's hitting at 3, right here. It hits the line right there at 3. So that way we know B equals 3. Anyone confused up to this point? So now all you have to do is plug it in. Y equals mx plus b. We're going to leave the y and the x because the y and the x can be any coordinate pair we want. So instead of m, what can I put? 2 over 1 x. You just leave the x alone. Plus 3. That's it. So now let's look at a table. A table is probably the second easiest if they give you 0. If they don't give you 0, then it's not as much fun. But first and foremost, you want to find slope again. So raise your hand if you can figure out the slope. Rise over run. y over change of x, what would the slope be on that table on the front of your notes? What are the y's changing by? What are the x's changing by? This one's a little bit more confusing, so if you can figure it out, they kind of skip some numbers in that table, which is fine. Right. All right, who knows the slope? Who knows the slope? Ella?
3 over 1.
3 over 1. Now, this is why some of you are probably like, no. This one skipped 6, right? But this one skipped 2. So let's say it had just skipped 1. Let's say there was a 3 here. If we have to split that in half, what's half of 6? 3. So really this would be what? 10. If the table skips, as long as it skips following the same pattern, it's still 3 over 1, because 3 over 1 could also be 6 over 2. So it's okay as long as the skip actually makes sense with the pattern. Does that make sense? So make sure if you check that it skips with the same pattern. Everybody good so far? All right. So now y-intercept. So we've done where the line intersects the y. We don't have a line for a table, so I'm trying to help us. On a table, you want to figure out where x equals 0. So where is x equal to 0 on that table? It tells you the y-intercept like that. Oliver, at the start. So what's the y-intercept? Where's it going to hit? At 0, 1. So my y-intercept is just 1. And now you can write the equation. What would the equation be? Y equals
3x
plus 1. That's easy. You know the slope, you know the y-intercept. Try number 3 on the back. So now, points is probably the most complicated because you get the least amount of information. Literally, they gave you 2 points and that's it. So this one probably requires the most work, but it's kind of work that, it is work that makes sense. So first, let's find the slope. Rise over run, y over x. Someone raise their hand and tell me what the slope is on this one. The slope on this one. What is the slope on this one? Guys, we're on the front. Okay, hold on. All right, what is the slope, Fletcher? 2 over 1. Does everyone agree?
Yep.
If anybody not get 2 over 1, it was 8 over 4, which reduces to 2 over 1, just to be. Okay, so this is where y-intercept gets a bit more confusing. That's all the information you have. So basically, you're going to have to substitute in a point and then solve for b. So what I mean by that is we know y equals 2 over 1x plus b right now. Because we don't know y, we don't know x, and we don't know b. But we do know an x and a y. We actually do. We could pick any one of these points to represent xy or xy. Do you guys agree with me? Because this is an x, this is a y, this is an x, this is a y. Doesn't matter what point you plug in, but you just need to pick one of the points they gave you. So I don't want to work with super big numbers, so I'm going to pick 2 and 4. So for y, I'm going to put in 4, and for x, I'm going to put in 2. And then I can just solve for b. You can plug one of the points back in. So I plugged in 4 for y, and I plugged in 2 for x. Everybody with me so far? Okay, so. Okay, anyway, so 2 times 2 is 4, so 4 equals 4 plus b. Subtract 4, you should have got b to be 0. If you don't know b, you're going to need a strategy to solve. I understand you could have just worked backwards in this situation, but I'm saying if you can't, you're going to need to know that strategy. Yes, in this situation, you could. It's not always going to be that simple, because you could get a decimal answer as b. So you need to be prepared for that. So y equals 2x plus 0. And that would be your rule or linear function. I understand you can work backwards, but you need the strategy in case you